You can have 10 good days in a row. 10 days where things go right, where you feel okay, where nothing terrible happens. And then one bad day comes along. One argument, one criticism, one mistake. And suddenly, that's all you can think about. The 10 good days, they fade into the background like they never happened. The one bad day, it's burned into your memory. Why does your brain do this? Why does the bad always feel bigger than the good? If this sounds familiar, you're not imagining it. Your brain really does remember negative experiences more vividly than positive ones. It's called the negativity bias, and it affects almost everything about how you see yourself, your life, and the world around you. Here's how it works. Your brain is constantly processing information. It's deciding what to pay attention to, what to remember, what to ignore. And when it comes to making these decisions, negative information gets priority. A bad experience registers more strongly than a good one. A hurtful comment sticks longer than a kind one. A failure feels heavier than a success. This isn't a flaw in your thinking. It's not because you're pessimistic or ungrateful. It's biology. Your brain evolved this way because, for most of human history, paying attention to threats was more important than enjoying pleasant moments. Missing a positive experience meant you didn't get a reward. Missing a negative experience could mean death. Imagine you're walking through the forest thousands of years ago. You see a berry bush. That's positive. You might get food, but you also hear a rustling sound in the bushes. That's potentially negative. That could be a predator. Your brain can't afford to split its attention equally, and it will always choose to focus on the threat. Because ignoring the berry bush means you stay hungry. Ignoring the predator means you die. So your ancestors who paid more attention to danger survived, and the ones who were more relaxed, more focused on the positive, didn't make it. Over time, this created a brain that's wired to prioritize the negative, to notice it faster, to remember it longer, to give it more weight. And that pattern is still running today, even though you're not dodging predators anymore. Even though most of the negative things you experience aren't life-threatening, your brain still treats them like they are. It still sounds the alarm. It still prioritizes the bad over the good. This is why one critical comment at work can ruin your day, even if 5 people complimented you. It's why one argument with a friend can overshadow months of good memories. It's why one mistake can make you feel like a failure, even when you've succeeded countless times before. The negative experience gets amplified. The positive ones get minimized. And it's not just about attention. It's also about memory. Negative experiences create stronger memories than positive ones. This happens because of the way emotions interact with memory formation. When something bad happens, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones don't just make you feel bad in the moment. They also strengthen the memory. They make it stick. Your brain is essentially saying, "This was important. This was dangerous. Remember this so you don't let it happen again." And because the memory is tied to such a strong emotional response, it becomes more vivid, more detailed, more accessible. You can recall it easily. You can replay it over and over. It doesn't fade the way neutral or positive memories do. Positive experiences, on the other hand, don't trigger the same intensity of emotional response. They feel good, but they don't feel urgent. So your brain doesn't prioritize storing them the same way. They get filed away as background noise. Nice, but not critical. And over time, they fade. The details blur, the feelings soften, until eventually you barely remember them at all. This is why you can remember exactly what someone said to hurt you 5 years ago, but you can't remember what they said to make you feel good last week. The negative memory is sharp. The positive one is vague. Not because the positive moment didn't matter, but because your brain didn't treat it like it needed to be preserved. And there's another layer to this. The negativity bias doesn't just affect how you remember events, it affects how you interpret them. When something happens, your brain has to decide what it means. And if you're uncertain, your brain will often lean toward the negative interpretation. Let's say someone doesn't text you back right away. You don't know why. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they didn't see the message. Maybe they're thinking about what to say. But your brain jumps to, they're ignoring me. They're upset with me. They don't care. This is called catastrophising, and it happens because your brain is trying to prepare you for the worst case scenario. It would rather overreact to a small problem than underreact to a big one. This is also why you tend to dwell on negative feedback more than positive feedback. When someone criticizes you, your brain sees it as valuable information. It thinks, this is something I need to fix. This is a problem, so it keeps bringing it up. It keeps replaying it. It keeps analyzing it. But when someone praises you, your brain thinks, okay, that's nice, but there's no problem to solve here. So it moves on. Over time, this creates a distorted view of reality. You start to believe that bad things happen more often than they actually do. That people think worse of you than they actually do. That your life is harder, more painful, more difficult than it might be. Not because you're lying to yourself, but because your brain is feeding you a filtered version of your experiences. A version where the negative is highlighted. So what do you do about this? How do you balance the scale when your brain is wired to tip it toward the negative? First, you recognize that this is happening. When you catch yourself fixating on something bad, remind yourself, my brain is doing what it's designed to do. It's not giving me an accurate picture. It's giving me a survival-focused picture, and I don't need that right now. Second, you actively work to remember the positive. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be happy or pretending bad things didn't happen. It just means making an effort to notice and hold on to the good. Write it down. Keep a list. At the end of each day, note 1 or 2 things that went well. Not because you need to convince yourself life is perfect, but because you need to counteract the bias. You need to give the positive moments the same weight your brain automatically gives to the negative ones. Third, you challenge negative interpretations. When your brain jumps to the worst-case scenario, pause. Ask yourself, is this definitely true? Or is this just one possibility? What are the other explanations? This doesn't mean ignoring real problems. It just means not letting your brain assume the worst without evidence. Fourth, you give yourself credit for the hard things you've survived. Your brain remembers the bad more than the good, but that also means it remembers the struggles, the pain, the difficult moments. And if you're here reading this, then you survived all of them. That's not nothing. That's proof that you're stronger than your brain gives you credit for. And finally, you accept that this is part of being human. The negativity bias isn't going away. It's built into how your brain works. But understanding it gives you power. You can't stop your brain from prioritizing the negative, but you can choose not to let that be the whole story. You can choose to look for balance, to remember the good alongside the bad, to see yourself and your life more clearly. Your brain remembers the bad more than the good because it's trying to protect you. It thinks negative experiences are lessons you need to keep, and in some ways, it's right. You learn from pain, you grow from struggle. Negative experiences shape you, but they don't define you, and they're not the whole picture. For every bad day, there are good ones you've forgotten. For every criticism, there are compliments you didn't hold on to. For every mistake, there are successes you've moved past without celebrating. Your life isn't as dark as your memory makes it seem. It's just that your brain has been highlighting the shadows and dimming the light. So if this helped, if any of this made sense, leave a comment and let me know. What negative memory are you holding on to? What good moment have you forgotten? You're not alone in this. And sometimes just knowing that your brain is wired this way is enough to start shifting how you see things.